If you are a Real Madrid fan, big congratulations to you. Others, may God help us all because Kylian Mbappe is joining Real Madrid. It is official, and just when you think Real Madrid are unbeatable, they have just won their 15th Champions League title. They go ahead and buy the biggest player of the world, Kylian Mbappe. At just 25 years, Mbappe has won 15 trophies with PSG and even a World Cup with France, but the only trophy missing in his cabinet is the Champions League. And what better place to win it other than Santiago Bernabeu, the literally European royalty. With Mbappe joining Madrid, there are a lot of possibilities, a lot of formations they can play, a lot of lineup changes they can make. And we look at all of that and we also see if this move can backfire an already well oiled machine, which is Madrid. On paper, Ancelotti played a 4-3-1-2 formation with Bellingham playing as a false nine and the two centre forwards were Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo. But they were just centre forwards on paper. As you could have seen, Vinicius always drifted very wide on the left wing. He loves to play very wide, and Rodrigo, on the other hand, didn't play that much on the wing. He was playing more central to support Bellingham. He was playing parallel to him, and he was making runs in the box to give Vinicius a passing option. That is how they played last season because they didn't have Karim Benzema, who left last summer for a Saudi club, and he was at the front line for Madrid for 14 years. They had a trusty goal scoring machine up front, but now without him, Bellingham had to shift and play ahead. But with Mbappe coming in, Bellingham might move a little behind, and Mbappe can play the centre forward role very well. But is that what's going to happen? Let's find out. So there are ideally four formations in which Real Madrid can play with Mbappe, with Vinicius, and even Rodrigo included in the front line. First coming is the 4-3-3, which is Ancelotti's kind of favorite formation. Also, do you remember the days of BBC? Bale on the right wing, Cristiano Ronaldo on the left wing, and Benzema up front. We can see a new form of the front three with Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo playing as the front three, and Bellingham will have to move a bit behind as a left central midfielder, Valverde on the right in the central midfielding position, and Chouameni or Camavinga at the CDM. This is a very viable option in which they can play. But the problem is Mbappe is not Benzema. Benzema was a poacher. He was a goal scorer. But Mbappe's strength is not finishing. His strength is movement off the ball and on the ball. His pace, his his dribbling. All these things won't be used when he plays in a center forward position, which could be a problem with this formation. Next up is another 4-3-3 formation, but this time it has an attacking twist to it with a cam, which will enable Bellingham to play a central attacking role this time as well as he did last season. But he won't be alone. He will have Mbappe up front with him as a centre forward, and this time Mbappe won't act as the lone pivot in the front three, unlike the last position, because Mbappe will have Bellingham to support him to make the passes. So Mbappe will have more freedom to roam around the box, both on the left wing, on the right wing, wherever he pleases. And he has said that this is the kind of role he likes playing, like he does for France with Giroud uh, playing as a striker. Mbappe has more freedom up front, and he has been very vocal about it. So this can be a very viable option if Madrid wants to play a 4-3-3 formation. If Ancelotti wants to continue playing in the 4-3-1-2 formation as he's done this season, he can do that as well, but this time Bellingham will have to play a bit behind as a central midfielder and Mbappe will play as a false nine. And you might ask, is this fair to Mbappe because he loves to play up front as the left winger or the centre forward? But Mbappe will have a lot more freedom playing here than up front because, as I said before, Mbappe is not a poacher, but with the false nine position, he can act as a pivot, just like Bellingham did. And look how many goals Bellingham scored. He scored 24 goals for Madrid this season, and Mbappe could fill in that role and play a lot better than Bellingham did, which would open many more avenues to attack. Because Madrid loves to be dominant on the left wing, and they can continue to do that with Vinicius and Bellingham drifting left and Mbappe playing central and even drifting left at times. And Rodrigo will, since they are playing on the left wing, Rodrigo, the right winger, can move central. So it opens that option to them, and that is how they seem comfortable playing this season. Lastly, there's this option of playing 4-2-3-1. This is not ideal. I mean, this is very highly unlikely, but even this is an option in which Mbappe will play as the centre forward, and Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, and Bellingham will play as attacking midfielders and wingers. It's a very weird formation with a very hybrid role for the three attacking midfielders, because Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo will operate as the wingers anyway. At least Vinicius Junior for sure, because he can't play central at all. But Bellingham and Rodrigo can fill in, playing as the two cams and supporting Mbappe. The good thing about this formation is they can make a lot of changes during the game, with Rodrigo playing up front and Mbappe pulling behind, and sometimes Bellingham moving up front and Mbappe pushing or pulling behind. So this will create more goal scoring opportunities for all four of them, and it's an option as well. So these are the ways Madrid can set up next season. But it's natural that with the addition of a big player like Mbappe in the squad, of course some other players will get the shorter end of the stick and not get minutes and might get benched because of him. Starting Rodrigo might not play as much as he does now. He has a very important role on the wing for Madrid, and he has done exceptionally well and he's done nothing wrong. But with Mbappe coming in, he might get the snub, because if Bellingham is continues to play as the cam, as the false nine centrally, and Ancelotti wants Mbappe and Vinicius to play up front as the attacking duo, then there is no space for Rodrigo up front, and he can't play anywhere else. So Rodrigo might be the bench warmer without even being his fault. And Rodrigo has a very high wage bill, and he's a very big player for Madrid, and he's been really well. He's done really well, and he's made some big moments for Madrid over the last two seasons, especially in the Champions League, which is why it's a bit harsh to Rodrigo. Other players who might not be happy about this move is Endrick, who's the Brazilian wonderkid, the 17-year-old who is going to join Real Madrid next season. And although he's 17 years and it's a very young age to be the first team material, especially at Madrid, he has that potential and he has that quality. So even he will not have any minutes, very few minutes, replacing either Vinicius or Bellingham or Mbappe in the 80th minute, in the 85th minute, which might hamper his career as well, because it looks like he's on the top of his game both for club and country. So it will be interesting to see how Ancelotti includes Endrick in this setup. We often forget the depth of Madrid's squad when we talk about these big players, that there are other good players, quality players in the squad. Brahim Diaz is one of them. He's an attacking midfielder who can play centre forward as well. And in all of these players, with all of these players in the squad, he might not get a chance at all, and he might be moved to a different club in this transfer window. So the same goes to Dani Ceballos, because Madrid has lots and lots of midfielders, and Dani Ceballos also might not get any playing time at Madrid. Andre Guler is a young prospect who will not get any minutes, even against smaller clubs, with all of these players in contention for game time. And lastly, with Bellingham moving behind the central midfielder position, despite Cruz leaving the club, both Camavinga and Chouameni cannot play together, because both of them are central midfielders, and both of them are at the top of the game. They are world class players, but one of them is going to suffer and long for game time because of Bellingham. So even that is a way Mbappe's move indirectly affects the team. So we talked about how Mbappe would fit in the squad, but what if he doesn't fit? And how can this move adversely affect Madrid's whole morale and which will also affect Madrid's form? Starting with Mbappe's position. We talked about Mbappe being a central forward throughout this video, because there's no space for him to play his favorite position, which is the left wing. Because Vinicius Junior is a very one-dimensional player who can do amazing things on the wing, but he can't fulfill any other role the way he does the left wing position. Which is why Mbappe will not be able to play his favorite position, and that can cause a spat between the two, because Mbappe has a history of clashing with his own teammates and having ego problems with on and off the pitch, because he deserves it, because he's the best player in the world. He has won it all except the UCL, of course, but he's world class. He's miles apart compared to other players, but that also makes him very aggressive, and his aggression can affect the team as well, because during his time in PSG he had a lot of problems with Neymar Jr., who was also the left winger, and this was because the set pieces, the penalties, who's going to take? There are so many players, so many options. Everyone is going to score a penalty for sure. Who will take it? Will Bellingham take it? Will Vinicius Junior take it? Or will Mbappe take it? And how can this affect the team? Because Mbappe will always try and be the main guy, the big guy, because he deserves it to be the one. But when Madrid, he might have to take a back seat, especially in the first 3 4 months, because he's new at the club, he's new at the league. So it will be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. With that, the Mbappe and Madrid transfer saga comes to an end, but also begins a new chapter, and we'll see if what will happen. Can Mbappe win it all at Madrid, or struggle at the world's biggest club?